Tonight I have the privilege of introducing someone who I've known a short period of time, but I have come to know as a friend, and I know as we continue our professional relationships, I'll be able to acknowledge him as a good friend. Somebody who has an impressive academic and professional pedigree, and it gives me pleasure not only to introduce General Caldwell tonight, but to thank him for his years of service to our country as an Army officer in some very impressive assignments. First, Lieutenant General retired William B. Caldwell IV was commissioned an infantry officer after graduating from the U.S. Military Academy at West Point in June of 1976. Now, he just did not complete this task, but he graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Engineering and later earned a master's degree from the United States Naval Post-Secondary School. He later attended the John F. Kennedy School of Government at Harvard University as a senior service fellow. He served almost 13 years as a general officer in the military, and he was the general of the 82nd Airborne, commanding general at NATO mission in Afghanistan, and living for a while at Lumberton, North Carolina, near Fort Bragg. I know how impressive the 82nd Airborne is. He had combat deployments that included Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm, Panama, and Operation Uphold Democracy in Haiti and Afghanistan. He served as executive assistant to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and in total served 37 years of distinguished service in the United States Army. And Lieutenant General Caldwell is the 21st president of Georgia Military College, and he'll tell us a little about that this evening. He assumed that role in 2013. General Caldwell has a wife, Stephanie, and 3 children, and they currently reside in Milledgeville, Georgia. One of them soon to reside at West Point in New York. General Caldwell.
Well, thanks for that very kind introduction, Dr. Parker. I think what you told everybody is that I'm real old and I've been around for a long time. I'll just sort of summarize it there for you. I got to tell you, I'm incredibly honored and humbled to be here tonight to celebrate in this night of great success. To all of the graduates here tonight, you truly have accomplished a major goal in life. You set your heights on something, you went forth to do it, and you made it happen. And here you are tonight. Again, if we can give all the graduates another great big hand. And then graduates, pat yourselves on the back, but I know and you know, we all know that really it's everybody up there that really made it happen. So how about thanking them one more time? You know, as I got ready for tonight, as I went back and thought about all the commencement addresses I've heard in my life, I'm really challenged to remember who was the guest speaker and what did he or she say. I remember some of the ideas, things like go forth, follow your dreams. I understand sometimes they'd be more direct. They'd say, make sure you're on time to work, dress properly, accept responsibility, take initiative. But I'm challenged to remember one key point, the one thing that really took and helped me prepare for the years ahead. So tonight, I'll keep my remarks brief, and I'll leave you with just one message. That's what I want to do. After all, it's said that most speakers need no introduction. What they really need is a good conclusion. So tonight, I'm going to share a story with you. It's about a donkey. That's right, a donkey. And 20 years from now, hopefully, as you think back about your commencement, you'll say, I can't remember who he was or what he really said, but I do remember that donkey story. As many of you know, there's lots of old wells on farms around here. And one day, a farmer's donkey fell into one of those old wells that the farmer had accidentally left uncovered. And as you might imagine, that animal cried pitifully for hours upon hours as the farmer tried to figure out what to do. Finally, he decided the animal was so old and, well, he needed to cover up the hole anyway, so it just wasn't worth the effort to retrieve that donkey. Called a bunch of his neighbors, asked them to come over and help him cover up that hole. They came, grabbed a shovel, grabbed some dirt, and began throwing it down that old well. When that donkey realized what was happening, well, he cried horribly. But they kept shoveling dirt. Then, to everyone's amazement, something amazing happened. The donkey quieted down. A few shovels later, the farmer finally looked down that well, and he was astonished at what he saw. That hit the back of that donkey. The donkey was doing something amazing. It would shake it off and take a step up. The farmer's neighbors continued to shovel dirt on top of that donkey, and pretty soon, to everyone's amazement, the donkey stepped up over the edge of that well and happily trotted off. If there's one thing I can guarantee you tonight, it's this. You will, at one point in your life, if you haven't already, find yourself at the bottom of a well, just like that donkey. There's not one person in this room, not one person up in the audience here, no one that will live a life free of adversity. You will make mistakes, we all do. You'll be disliked by somebody, or maybe a subordinate or a peer, or even your boss. You might be unfairly treated. You'll be struggling perhaps at some point in your marriage. You may have made a bad decision and really got chewed out by your superior. Or maybe you received less than a favorable evaluation. Whatever it is, our paths in life will have some setbacks and challenges. At some point, life is going to throw dirt on your back, all kinds of dirt. But how you deal with that adversity or that challenge in your life will define who you are as a person. And you'll have two choices. You can make a lot of noise and squeal just like that donkey at the bottom of that well did when he found himself there, or you can shake the dirt off your back and take a step up. Probably our first inclination, most people's is to make a lot of noise and complain about how everything in our life is wrong and just how mistreated we really are. But the mark of a person who will take a step up is one who can pause, think calmly, and get a perspective. This person can see themselves through the eyes of someone else. In other words, this person, he or she, will ask themselves, was there something they said about me that just might be true? How can I turn this around? What can I do to change? And can I take this adversity, this challenge, and use it to become a better person? Many of you tonight have already faced some real challenges in your life. You have already been in that well. There's a graduate here tonight who had to quit school when she was in 8th grade because she became pregnant. But she never gave up on her dream for an education. She raised her kids, and now over 30 years later, she's in this room about to receive a diploma. That's someone who took a challenge and overcame it. I wish I could tell you with graduation, your life will be easier now, your challenges will be over. But there's a lot of dirt out there, and it'll be thrown at you at different times when you least expect it. And what you do about it will define who you are as a person. I want to share a story with you about a young man that I had the privilege to serve with in the Army. He joined the Army and volunteered to become an American paratrooper. He wanted to jump out of airplanes. He was going to literally change the world. It was shortly thereafter that the Iraq War started, and our unit was sent to Iraq. This young sergeant was truly loved by his soldiers. He was a true inspiration, and they would literally follow him anywhere. But only 10 days into the deployment, it happened. They were out on patrol when his team stopped to inspect something that seemed odd. It was a homemade bomb, or an IED as it's commonly referred, and when it went off, his life was forever changed. When he woke up, he had lost part of his leg. His dreams for the future had been shattered. As an amputee, he would no longer be able to serve as a paratrooper, much less be able to jump out of an airplane. But young Dan Metzdorf was determined to shake that dirt off his back and take a step up. I remember when he asked me, he probably pleaded with me to be able to come back and be reassigned to the 82nd Airborne Division. I was stunned. I looked at him and I asked him, I said, Dan, you do realize you're 100% medically disabled. They'll retire you tomorrow and you can go do something else in life. But that's not what he wanted. He had the determination and guts and wanted to take a step up. So we challenged the Army system. We got him back into the 82nd Airborne Division. He literally had achieved the impossible. He was back with his Army unit, and amongst the 18,000 men and women who were on paratroopers, he was the only one who was an amputee. Now, most would have stopped probably right there, but not Dan. He wasn't done yet. He wanted to jump from an airplane again with just one leg. The doctors evaluated him and shared the hazards of what that could mean if he were injured in a jump. But he was determined to be the first to ever do so. I can still remember the day as he was hobbling to the door of that airplane when he hurled himself out of the door with that airplane moving at 130 miles an hour as he leapt off and saw his parachute open above him. Dan Metzdorf was not about to let some dirt keep him down. He made history that day and would go on to make more parachute jumps. And eventually he would join the Army parachute team, one leg and all. Dan had decided that he would change his circumstances, that he would take this adversity, this challenge, and use it to become a better person. Life would still have its challenges for Dan in the years ahead, but he knew all the time that he would shake it off and take a step up. That's what life's about. It'll be that way for all of us in this room. But when we're in that well, when you're down in that well, we can't give up to a negative attitude or helplessness, or worse, give up. We ought not to cast blame on somebody else, but instead evaluate ourselves and ask, how can we take a step up and get out of that well? That's what you all decided to do, to change your lives when you enrolled here at Albany Tech. And today, you're about to see that dream become a reality. So my advice to you is to keep moving forward. Continue to look into your future, see what it could be, and do your best to make it that way. It won't always work. There will be wells out there, and you won't achieve every goal you set out to. But what I can tell you is that your success rate will be a whole lot greater than the person who dwells in the past and wallows in self-pity. Now you're thinking, you've learned something tonight about wells and taking a step up. But I'm not done. I want to conclude with the story of this donkey. It wasn't over. That donkey later came back and found that farmer and bit the heck out of him. He developed a huge gash from that bite that gets severely infected, and that farmer eventually died in agony from septic shock. So what's the real moral of this story? When you do something wrong and try to cover your ass, it's always going to come back and bite you. Thanks once again for allowing me to be here tonight. May God bless you, may God bless your families, and may God bless this great state of the United States. Thank you.